देख पा रहे हैं द पास्ट रीइमेजिन्ड, भारत के ऐतिहासिक कथा साहित्य का स्वरूप। इस सत्र का मॉडरेशन करने के लिए मैं सत्र के अध्यक्ष संयोजक को यहाँ मंच पर निमंत्रण देना चाहूँगी। तालियों के साथ आपका स्वागत कीजिएगा। आप हैं श्री विश्वास पाटिल जी। विश्वास जी, आपसे निवेदन है कि आप मंच पर आएं और अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। विश्वास पाटिल प्रख्यात मराठी उपन्यासकार और नाटककार हैं। आपने 13 उपन्यास लिखे हैं, जिनमें झाड़ा झड़ती शामिल है, जिसे साहित्य अकादमी पुरस्कार प्राप्त हुआ है। आपको साहित्य के लिए इंदिरा गोस्वामी राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार और प्रियदर्शनी राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार भी प्राप्त है। एक IAS अधिकारी के रूप में आपने 2 साल के रिकॉर्ड समय में शिरडी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हवाई अड्डा बनवाया। आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। अब मैं सभी स्पीकर्स, सभी वक्ताओं का नाम लेकर उन्हें एक एक करके मंच पर बुलाऊंगी और हम इस सत्र की शुरुआत करेंगे। पहला निमंत्रण है कुलधर सैकिया जी को। कृपया करके मंच पर आइएगा और आप सब तालियों के साथ अभिनंदन कीजिएगा। वीणा विश्वास जी, आपका स्वागत है। गोकुलदास प्रभु जी, आइएगा। बलवंत कौर जी एंड अरविंद सिंह आशिया जी, आप सभी से निवेदन है कि आप मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। दूसरे दिन का पहला सत्र है। हमारा मंच सज चुका है। सभी वक्ता, सभी स्पीकर्स मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण कर चुके हैं। ये जो सत्र है, इसकी समय सीमा है 1 घंटा 30 मिनट। तो हम अनुरोध करेंगे जो भी वक्ता यहाँ पोडियम पर आए वो 7 से 8 मिनट का समय लें और अपनी बात ऑडियंस के सामने रखें। एंड व्हेन वी हैव सम टाइम लेफ्ट, वी वुड लाइक टू हैव एन ओपन हाउस एंड सम क्वेश्चंस इफ दे कुड बी आस्क्ड एंड यू कुड आंसर देम। तो सबसे पहले मैं आज के मॉडरेटर, हमारे इस डिस्कशन के संचालक संयोजक विश्वास पाटिल जी से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वह यहाँ पोडियम पर आएं और सत्र का आरंभ करें। तालियों के साथ स्वागत कीजिएगा प्लीज़।
दोस्तों, टुडे वी हैव सब्जेक्ट अतीत की पूर्ण कल्पना, भारत के ऐतिहासिक कथा साहित्य स्वरूप। इस पर हम डिस्कशन करने जा रहे हैं। इसमें कुलधर सैकिया जी, वीणा विश्वास, गोकुलदास प्रभु, बलवंत कौर और अरविंद सिंह आशिया, ये राइटर्स शामिल हुए हैं। वी आर वेरी अवेयर दैट the historical fiction is a prominent literary course in the life of Indian literature, and हम सुनते आए हैं बचपन से जैसी कहानियाँ बिरबल और बादशाह जैसी कहानियाँ या पंचतंत्र, ये तो पुराना जमाना हुआ। लेकिन लास्ट सेंचुरी में वैशाली की नगर वधू, देन दारा शिकोह, या बहुत सारी उपन्यास जिसमें पायोनियर राइटर्स थे बंकिम चंद्र चटर्जी, RC दत्त, KM मुंशी जी का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। हमारे मराठी से रंजीत देसाई है, शिवाजी सावंत है। तो इस और बांग्ला से आपको सुनील गंगोपाध्याय है। मैं सुनील जी का जिक्र इस वास्ते करता हूँ कि दो ही हैज़ नॉट रिटन about historical or medieval period, but he has focused very much the British era in his novels like New Light and others. तो हम इस सब्जेक्ट पर अभी डिस्कशन करेंगे। हर एक को मुझे लगता है 5 या 7 मिनट मिल जाएगा। Then we will discuss some questions will be from you, connoisseurs, and then I'll speak a little bit at the end. So शुरू करते हैं, and we should not forget that the historical novel in India is a backbone of Indian literature, and I have guarantee that hardly some little novels, social novels, they went into reprints, but there is much more welcome for historical novels always. Also in Marathi, Hari Narayan Apte, the novels which were written by Hari Narayan, some novels were very dear and near to Mahatma Gandhi ji also. And Mahatma Gandhi ji came in prominence, a barrister and a son of a merchant. He was not interested in common people and common folk. But in childhood, when he watched a play, Raja Harishchandra, and then he realized what mean by poverty and how poor people live and what is a great gap between Amir and Garib. And then due to this historical myth, Gandhiji also changed the course of his life. On the same scale, I believe that in India, many historical novels and novelists, they have paved some new path. तो इस पर हम डिस्कशन करेंगे. वेलकम, मैं सबका मेरे दिल से, मेरे मन से स्वागत करता हूँ और अभी हम हर एक की बात सुनेंगे.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर. सो आइए आगाज़ करते हैं एंड आई वुड इनवाइट आवर फर्स्ट स्पीकर श्री कुलधर साकिया जी. He was a Fulbright scholar at Pennsylvania State University, USA, and PhD and MA in economics. He has 30 publications to his credit, which include short stories, novels, drama, and non-fiction. He has also written for national dailies and journals. He is recipient of Sahitya Akademi Award, Munin Bor Karthiki Award, and Katha Best Fiction Award. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Kindly take the podium, and we would love to listen from you. Kindly put your hands together as he graces the podium.
Thank you. A warm welcome to all. Mr. Vishwas Patel has already set the ball rolling. And what is historical fiction? Let us understand one or two lines on that. Historical fictions will be a fictional effort where the backdrop is the historical settings, social conditions, or sometime you will have some sort of a hero who is behind the book. So this is what basically historical fiction. Why it is famous is, why people like it, because it gives you a time travel sort of an opportunity for the readers. You can go back to the past, and how many decades you will have a historical fiction is not fixed. So you can go up to any level, or you can go up to a few decades. So historical fictions, let us be very clear about one thing, that it is based mostly on documented history. And there the fictional imaginations come so that the characters, the social conditions, everything, all the mindsets of the people in the novel keep on going, and you as a reader look back to the past. Mr. Patel was talking about the different sorts of books in India on historical fictions. Definitely, I mean, if you look at the contours of such books, you will see a common picture coming out of it. See, almost all the historical fictions have been written in India in English, Hindi, or any regional languages. You will see 4 or 5 dimensions. One is the colonial rule. Second is the partition is a very important aspect of our history. So partition is another important sort of a aspect which has influenced the historical fiction writers. There is more to it. Say, if you go back, you will see some books were based on Mughal empires. Now, if you talk about Mughal empires, you will see the books like 20th Wife by Indu Sundarsan. Those books will talk about the queen, the harems, the power politics inside the royal palaces. Then you come back, you will see in partition, you will have books like Midnight Children. You will have books like the Siege of Poppies by Indian English writers. So all sorts of things have been experimented. Along with that, you will see that number of books have been written on certain particular aspects of the regional locals, meaning say if some sort of a regional incidents had taken place over the time in the history, so you will see a reverberation of such things in those books also. If I talk about my own state, my own language, in Assamese also, you will see similar sort of contours where colonial rule, partition, freedom struggle, all these sort of things have figured. But as the regional locals, I'm telling you one very important aspect is that the state, how it got bifurcated from a bigger state to smaller state now, the relationship between the earlier states. Say, there's a very important book by Birendra Kumar Bhattacharya. He was president of Sahitya Academy, and he had written a book on Yarwingam, that's called, it's a relationship between Naga people and Assamese people, like that, then Mama Indira Rosham Goswami, she has written about a particular lady who fought against the Britishers. So such type of things are even experimented in regional languages. You will see similar sort of things from Gujarati writers or South Indian writers on their locals, local happenings. So such type of experiments have been done. But what precautions will take in reading or writing a historical fiction? See, number one is, a lot of times it gives an impression of a particular historical era. Now, whether the person, the writer, has done enough research to document such type of thing, and how much balance you will keep between the documented facts and the narratives of your own. That is a big problem for a historical fiction. That has to be seen. Most of the time, historical fictions will be very educative, because it takes you back to the history, and people love reading history through the novels and fictions. But if something has been misinformed to the book, then people will feel, history has given him a different knowledge than the documented facts. So these are certain problems. It's very short time, so I won't be able to talk more about that. But there are certain issues in historical fictions we must be knowing about it. Lastly, see, historical fictions, very important fictions have been done on partition of India, like A Train to Pakistan by Kushwant Singh. Then Pinjar was a very important Punjabi novel by Amrita Pritam. So all these novels, what they have shown? They have shown the migration, the trauma, and the displacement. Very recent phenomenon of historical fiction all over. I'm saying one very important aspect before I finish. That is about earlier, more than the royalties, now royal houses, now the marginalized people, like different communities where the voice was not heard earlier, now historical fictions are bringing them into picture. This is one very new experiments coming up. In fact, the royal heroes and all, like Lachit Borphukan in Assam, it's been really brought in through fictions. There are a lot of heroes like that all over the country where the regional languages have done wonderful job. With this, I conclude my thing, and let us wait for big and beautiful historical fictions in case of India. Even a lot of mythological fictions also coming up, but it should be, readers should be accepting such books. That's why, I'm just requesting everybody, every reader, to read such type of fictions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, I invite Beena Vishwasji, an academician, translator, poet, critic, and editor, specializing in the works of Rabindranath Tagore. She has served as Professor of English Language and Communications at institutions affiliated with Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad, An accomplished author of 13 books, including poetry and translations, she has participated in numerous national and international literary fora. She is also the CEO of Rubric Publishing Solutions, New Delhi, promoting quality literary and translation projects. Please kindly grace the podium and bring your hands together as she does so.
Namaskar. Vishwas Patil sir and my fellow panelists. Historical fiction is not my genre of writing, but I have written short stories like Shackles of Vaishali and all. So I think that's how they have put me in this panel. I will start what Saikia sir left. At that point I'll start. I will first define what a historical fiction is. A historical fiction is a work of imagination rooted in the past. It is a fictional narrative set in a clearly defined historical period, usually several decades before the time of writing. What makes it powerful is its blending of truth with imagination. Real events, real settings, and real cultures woven together with fictional characters and personal journeys. Such novels do not merely tell us what happened, they allow us to feel how it might have been to live through those times. These works share certain defining features. As Saikia sir said, they are set in a recognizable past. I cannot write a historical fiction based on some event in ancient history, maybe human history in the primeval period. They are set in a recognizable past, they combine fact with fiction, they rely on deep research, and they show how great historical events shape ordinary human lives. Above all, they recreate the atmosphere, the very spirit of a bygone age. On the global stage, the modern historical fiction is often traced to Sir Walter Scott. Yet, long before that, works like The Tale of Genji and Romance of the Three Kingdoms had already explored this fusion of history and storytelling. I will also mention about Epic of Gilgamesh. It is supposed to be the oldest fiction available in the world today. It is written during the Sumerian civilization and it continues to be a bestseller in the world. Now let us turn to India, where historical fiction blossoms in many languages, each carrying its own cultural memory. I'll start with Bengal because I am a Bengali. One of the earliest milestones is Kalanghelo by Nandshekhar Mehta. And in Bengal, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee laid a strong foundation with Durgesh Nandini and later Mrinalini and Anandamath. Tagore was also interested in writing historical fiction, but he has not written as such, but he has written many prose poetry in this genre. I will not leave Michael Madhusudan Dutt because I have translated his Meghnad Kavya. That also comes under historical fiction. And Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay, he has written many historical plays. From this foundation, the genre spread across the country. In Marathi literature, as Sir said, Ranjit Desai's Shriman Yogi vividly brings to life Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, while Shivaji Savant's Mrityunjay reimagines the Mahabharata through Karna's perspective. In Hindi, we have Vrindavan Lal Verma's Jhansi Ki Rani, immortalizes the bravery of Rani Lakshmibai. Acharya Chatur Sen contributed richly with the works like Somnath and Vaishali Ki Nagarvadhu. In Tamil, Kalki Krishnamurti stands tall with masterpieces like Ponniyin Selvan, Shivagami Savatam, and Pratibhan Kanavu, recreating the grandeur of the Chola and Pallava periods. Moving to Malayalam, M.T. Vasudevan Nayar's Randamugam offers a deeply human retelling of the Mahabharata, while S.L. Vairappa, writing in Kannada of course, reimagines epic history in Parva with a philosophical depth. In Kannada literature, we also find K.V.I.'s Shantala, which explores the Hoysala period. In Telugu, Vishwanathan Satyanarayan's Ekavira reflects historical and cultural transitions with lyrical intensity. From Odisha, we have Fakir Mohan Senapati, though better known for social realism, also contributed to historical narrative traditions that influenced later Odia writers. In Assam and Northeast, writers like Indira Goswami, through the works such as The Moth-Eaten Howdah of the Tusker, engage with history, culture, and social change, blending lived history with fiction. From Kashmir, though the tradition of historical fiction is less formally categorized, writers such as Akhtar Mohiuddin have explored social historical realities of the region, reflecting lived histories shaped by the time and conflict. In English Indian writers, we have English Indian writers have made remarkable contributions. Amitav Ghosh's The Evis trilogy, including Sea of Poppies, reconstructs the world of the opium trade and colonial expansion. I will not talk about Freedom at Midnight and William Dalrymple here. Shashi Tharoor's The Great Indian Novel reimagines the Mahabharata in a modern political context. Thus, from Gujarat to Bengal, from Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, from Maharashtra to Northeast, historical fiction in India forms a vast and vibrant tapestry. In contemporary times, the genre continues to grow. Writers are not only revisiting kings and battles, but also bringing forward forgotten voices. As Sir said, marginalized women, common people, and marginalized communities, offering new perspectives on the past. However, writing historical fiction requires discipline and responsibility. One must avoid anachronisms. For instance, describing tomatoes in medieval Indian cuisine would be inaccurate as they arrived much later through colonial contact. Such details, though small, can break the authenticity of narrative. Here I will quote Indu Sundareshan while writing her fiction, historical fiction, The 12th Wife. She had mentioned that by mistake she had shown that Mughal kings are having some stuffed tomato. And then she later realized that she did not do enough research. A good writer must research deeply, respect the cultural and temporal context, and yet allow imagination to breathe life into facts. One must neither distort history nor become enslaved by it. To conclude, historical fiction is more than storytelling. It is a bridge between memory and imagination. It allows us to revisit our past, understand our present, and perhaps shape our future with great awareness. In a land as layered and diverse as India, historical fiction is not just a genre, it is a living archive of voices waiting to be heard. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Recognizable past, truth, imagination and a perspective, एक नज़र बीते कल को देखने की और साथ ही ऑथेंटिसिटी को मेंटेन रखने की बड़ी जिम्मेदारी। हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन पर अपने विचार रखने के लिए मंच पर मैं बुलाना चाहूँगी श्री गोकुल दास प्रभु जी को। आप कोंकणी कथा साहित्य के प्रमुख लेखक, अनुवादक और निबंधकार हैं। आपकी उल्लेखनीय कृतियों में पृथ्वी है नमा और अंतर आयामी शामिल हैं, जिनके अनुवाद अंग्रेज़ी, कन्नड़, तमिल और तेलुगु भाषाओं में उपलब्ध हैं। आपको साहित्य अकादमी पुरस्कार मिला है और आपने अकादमी के सामान्य परिषद में भी अपनी सेवाएं दी हैं। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। तालियों से स्वागत कीजिएगा।
Thank you, ma'am. Respected chair of the session, my colleagues, and your friends in the audience, good morning to all of you. As the earlier speakers have already covered the critical aspects of historical fiction, and have given you an overview of the writings in that category in various languages. I will not go into that aspect at all. Since the time given to me is around 7 to 8 minutes, I'll narrow down my presentation to the area of Konkani. As you all know, the Konkani people were the first to experience the colonial aggression and its aftermath. They were also the first to experience partition of a different type. It was not just a division of the nation, it was the division or the partition of the minds on the basis of religion, culture, and other sociological. You all have heard about the onset and the progress of Inquisition in Goa, which was launched by the Portuguese in 1560 Common Era. You also must have come across how much damage it had caused to the Goan society, which resulted in the migration of thousands of families to the neighboring states and even to the extreme south in Kerala. So, in brief, that was our the effect of our experience with the Portuguese misadventure in Goa. Now, if I put the history of the Konkanis in a nutshell, it can be briefly brought under three eras or three aspects or three stages. The first one, as I already told you, is the Goan Inquisition. The second one is the effect of the Maratha invasion of Goa in the 17th century. And the third period or the third stage is the attack of Tipu Sultan on Mangalore, and which resulted in the captivity of thousands of Catholics of Dakshina Kannada district of Karnataka. Now, all these three stages of history are still retained in the collective memory of the Konkanis, and this collective memory expresses from time to time in various forms. The writers, therefore, naturally express this experience and their memory, the memory of the society in historical fiction. And we are fortunate enough to have some of the prominent writers giving their attention to this particular area of fiction. Now, we have got eminent writers like the Saraswati Samman winning Mahabaleshwar Sail, writing historical fiction, relating the experience of Goa Inquisition. We have got another Sahitya Academy Award winner, Uday Bembre, writing the Wordlinger, or the big house, so to say, by which he is referring to the inquisitorial palace where the procedure took place. We have got the writings of Khadap, the pen name Khadap, or VJP Saldana of Mangalore, who has written the maximum number of novels pertaining to both the period of Goa Inquisition and of the Tipu Sultan period. We also have got some translations into Konkani of the historical novels from Kannada and Kannada only. And there is one translation from English. Now, this in short is the area of historical fiction in Konkani. Now, I think if there is any more detail required, I can give it at a later stage. But in brief about these novels, what I can say is that as far as the historical accuracy of these novels are concerned, they vary from novel to novel. In the case of Khadab or BJP Saldana, there is more of a fictional element in the novels rather than the historical accuracy. His imagination is very strong, and the description is very vivid, and historical setting only serves as a background, and I would rather like to describe his novels as novels of particular periods, period novels rather than historical fiction. But they do have a historical element, and in fact many of the historical persons of eminence like Tipu Sultan himself is coming as a character in some of his novels. But in the case of Uday Bembre's novels, he is actually more into the narration of a history than fictionalizing it. Of course, there also he is striking an excellent balance between historical facts and fiction, and that way he is trying to do justice to both aspects of the historical fiction. We have got one particular writer, Dr. Mohan Pai of Mangalore, who has narrated the history of the Konkani people right from the advent of Portuguese in Goa till the migration of hundreds of families from Goa to Karnataka and Kerala. That is half a century of Goan history is captured in his Mahaprasthan, which he has brought out in 2 volumes. So this is what I have to present before you in the context of historical fiction in Konkani. I will be happy to take any questions about this in the coming part of this session. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर, दैट वाज रियली इंसाइटफुल। कोंकणी भाषा में हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन के स्वरूप को हमने आपसे सुना। और अब मैं बुलाना चाहूँगी बलवंत कौर जी को। आप एक प्रतिष्ठित आलोचक, अनुवादिका एवं संपादक हैं जो हिंदी, अंग्रेज़ी, पंजाबी एवं उर्दू में दक्षता रखती हैं। आप लगभग 3 दशकों से दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के मिरांडा हाउस में अध्यापन कर रही हैं। आपकी प्रमुख अभिरुचि के क्षेत्रों में आधुनिक कथा साहित्य, महिला अध्ययन एवं विभाजन साहित्य सम्मिलित है। हमें बहुत खुशी है कि आज आप हमारे बीच में हैं। तालियों के साथ आपका स्वागत कीजिएगा।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। मुझसे पहले मेरे साथी स्पीकर्स जो बोल के गए हैं, मैं वहीं से अपनी बात शुरू करना चाहूँगी। ख़ास तौर पर सेकिया जी, अगर मैं सही उच्चारण कर रही हूँ, उन्होंने 2 चीज़ों के बारे में बात की। हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन, उन्होंने कहा कि एक कॉलोनियल पीरियड से जुड़ा है, और दूसरा पार्टीशन हिस्ट्री को उन्होंने लिया। मैं कहूँगी ये बड़ी ट्रेजेडी है कि हिंदी और पंजाबी में ख़ास तौर पर पार्टीशन नॉवेल्स या पार्टीशन फिक्शन जो लिखा गया उस पर बहुत ज़्यादा हिस्टोरिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से काम नहीं हुआ है। अभी होना शुरू हुआ है, पर बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ नहीं है। ज़्यादातर जो काम हुआ है वो कॉलोनियल पीरियड पर हुआ है, और बेसिकली मुग़ल पीरियड को लेकर फ़िक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा हिंदी और पंजाबी में लिखे गए हैं। मैं मूल रूप से हिंदी और पंजाबी में जो हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन है उसके कुछ ट्रेंड्स पर बात करना चाहूँगी। पहली चीज़ जो मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि ऐसा नहीं है कि हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन एकाएक कोई आ गए, उसके लिए एक बहुत सोशल और पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशंस थी जिसके बीच से हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन हमारे सामने निकल कर आते हैं। पर हिंदी में स्पेशली वो बिल्कुल हिंदी में स्पेशली जब मैं बात कर रही हूँ तो हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन बिल्कुल इंटरटेनमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से शुरू हुआ था। और वो जब शुरू हुआ, क्योंकि उससे पहले जो भी लिखा जा रहा था वो माइथोलॉजी को आधार बनाकर लिखा जा रहा था, और माइथोलॉजी और हिस्ट्री को लेकर हमेशा एक डिबेट रहती है, और आज भी है कि हिस्ट्री माइथोलॉजी को हिस्ट्री बना के पेश कर दिया जाता है। तो सबसे पहले हमारे यहाँ पर जिन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन लिखा वो थे किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी हिंदी में। किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी ने जब लिखना शुरू किया, उससे पहले हिंदी में नॉवेल्स या इस तरह के फिक्शन का कोई ट्रेंड नहीं था। केवल और केवल प्रेमचंद से पहले देवकी नंदन खत्री लिख रहे थे जो तिलिस्मी और अयारी किस्म के उपन्यास लिख रहे थे, लेकिन वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरटेनमेंट की फील्ड में, मतलब मनोरंजन बहुत ज़्यादा उससे होता था। किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी ने जब लिखना शुरू किया तो उनके सामने उन्होंने 2-3 चीज़ें ख़ास तौर पर बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से कह दी कि पहली चीज़ कि जो लोग भी क्योंकि वो ज़माना ऐसा था, भारतेंदु युग हम कह सकते हैं, वो पीरियड ऐसा था कि नावल लिखने को बहुत सीरियसली लिया नहीं जाता था, और जो नावल लिख रहे हैं उनको भी बहुत ज़्यादा इज्जत के साथ बहुत रिस्पेक्ट नहीं दी जाती थी, और जो नावल पढ़ रहे हैं उनके लिए कहा जाता था बालक बुद्धि हैं ये लोग, इनके पास वो सेंसिबिलिटी है नहीं। तो ऐसे में जब किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी ने लिखना शुरू किया और उन्होंने लिखा, तो एक उस समय की मैगज़ीन ने कहा कि कम से कम ये जो नावल आया है, ये कुशल रमणी करके जो नावल आया है, उस नावल का नाम था, उन्होंने कहा कि ये नावल कम से कम बालक बुद्धियों को कुछ इतिहास का ज्ञान देगा और कुछ मनोरंजन करेगा। तो पहले से, और ये बात सिर्फ कोई और क्रिटिक नहीं कह रहा था, बाद में किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी ने भी ये कहना शुरू किया कि नहीं, कम से कम हम कुछ इतिहास से परिचित हो जाएंगे। तो पहली चीज़ ही यहाँ पर हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन के साथ ये तय कर दी गई कि ये इंटरटेनमेंट के लिए हम लिख रहे हैं, और दूसरा, इंटरटेनमेंट तो एक चीज़ है पर हमें इतिहास का ज्ञान देना है। और यहाँ से इतिहासकार और मतलब हिस्टोरियंस और साहित्यकारों की एक भिड़ंत शुरू हो जाती है कि क्या इतिहास है और क्या है, क्योंकि नेचुरली जो साहित्य है वो कल्पना से जुड़ा हुआ था, और इतिहास फैक्ट्स, जैसा कि कहा भी गया है हमारे साथियों ने कि डॉक्यूमेंटेड जो हिस्ट्री है उसके बारे में बात, पर वो कोई डॉक्यूमेंटेड हिस्ट्री नहीं थी। वो कल्पना के आधार पर दरअसल उस ज़माने में कुछ चीज़ों को, खासकर कॉलोनियल पीरियड को बात की जा रही थी, और कहीं ना कहीं एक आइडियल मैन, और ये मैं कहूँ कि एक पुनरुत्थान या एक नव जागरण जो रेनेसां का टाइम था, उसमें जो एक आइडियल व्यक्ति की छवि क्रिएट की जा रही थी, उसके लिए उन्होंने हिस्ट्री का इस्तेमाल करने की इस्तेमाल किया। लेकिन इससे भी आगे जाकर इस चीज़ पर भी क्योंकि किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी पहले थे, उन्होंने कम से 10 से 15 उपन्यास, ऐतिहासिक उपन्यास लिखे हैं, और उसके बाद जाके उन्होंने बहुत सारी कहानियाँ भी ऐसी लिखी हैं। लेकिन हिस्टोरिकल नावल के साथ ये क्या होता है कि हम जिस पीरियड का चुन रहे हैं, जिस पीरियड का चुनाव कर रहे हैं इतिहास से, वो हमारे वर्तमान को कैसे रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है, हमारे कैरेक्टर्स के थ्रू, हमारे, जैसा कि और हमारे साथियों ने कहा कि एक जो हिस्ट्री है और जो कल्पना है उसको जोड़कर बात की जानी चाहिए, उसके बीच में एक कम्युनिकेशन होना चाहिए और एक सहयोग होना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं कि हम फैक्ट्स के नाम पर कुछ भी प्रेजेंट करते जाएंगे। लेकिन यहाँ पर ये दावा लगातार किया जा रहा था कि अभी तक जो इतिहास लिखे गए हैं वो इतिहास ठीक नहीं है। ये दावा सिर्फ किशोरी लाल गोस्वामी ने नहीं किया, उनके बाद तक बहुत सारे और लोग आते रहे, लाइक वृंदा लाल वर्मा की हम बात करते हैं, उन्होंने भी ये कहा कि मैं जो लिख रहा हूँ वो मैं इसलिए देख रहा हूँ कि कम से कम इतिहास से लोग परिचित हो सके। और इस प्रक्रिया में क्या हुआ कि जो उपन्यास है या नावल है या हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन कुछ भी है, वो ना तो पूरी तरह से फिक्शन रहा, ना पूरी तरह से हिस्ट्री बन पाया, क्योंकि हम ना तो पूरी तरह से फैक्ट्स ले पाए और ना ही हम पूरी तरह से कल्पना का इस्तेमाल कर पाए। तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन को लेकर हमारे यहाँ पर हिंदी और पंजाबी में अक्सर इस तरह की डिबेट चलती है कि क्या इस तरह की फ़िक्शन को बहुत रियल उसके साथ जोड़कर जो हमारे क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं वो जुड़ेंगे कि नहीं, क्योंकि पंजाबी में भी उससे पहले भाई वीर सिंह ने बहुत सारे हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शंस वगैरह लिखे थे। और रियल की बात इसलिए कि हम जानते हैं कि जो नावल है वो उसको मिडिल क्लास के साथ जोड़कर देखा जाता रहा है, और मिडिल क्लास की जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, मिडिल क्लास की जो रियलिटी है, उससे नावल के उदय की बात हमेशा की जाती है इंडियन लिटरेचर में। पर यहाँ पर रियलिटी को प्रेजेंट करने के लिए, क्योंकि ये मान लिया गया कि यथार्थ इतना ज़्यादा सपाट है, इतना ज़्यादा सीधा साधा है कि उसमें कोई इंटरटेनमेंट हो नहीं सकता, और ये बात लगभग बाद तक चलती रही है। तो हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन को लेकर हमेशा एक चीज़ और जुड़ जाती है इसमें कि उसका क्राफ्ट क्या होगा, उसके क्राफ्ट को लेकर बात है कि क्राफ्ट की भी तो बात होनी चाहिए। तो हमेशा ये रहा है कि यहाँ तक कि क्योंकि बहुत सारे हमारे साथियों ने वैशाली की नगर वधू की बात की है, तो वैशाली की नगर वधू का भी जो कंटेंट देखेंगे या उसकी जो क्राफ्ट की हम बात करेंगे, वो बहुत पॉपुलर स्ट्रक्चर में लिखा गया है। उसका पूरा स्ट्रक्चर एक पॉपुलर तरह से है। लेकिन जब हम सेकंड स्टेज पर आते हैं, किशोरीलाल गोस्वामी के बाद हिंदी में ख़ास तौर पर प्रसाद, जयशंकर प्रसाद की बात करते हैं, जिन्होंने बहुत सारे नावल लिखे थे, बहुत सारे नाटक उनके क्योंकि हिस्टोरिकल उससे जुड़े हुए हैं। उन्होंने क्या, उनके लिए ये था कि हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन उस कॉलोनियल पीरियड में जो हम जिन चीज़ों पर डायरेक्टली बोल नहीं सकते हैं, बस उन चीज़ों पर बोलने के लिए उन्होंने हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन, क्योंकि उस समय बहुत सारे एक्ट ऐसे थे कि आप आज़ादी से बोल नहीं सकते थे। और तीसरा, जब वैशाली की नगर वधू आता है, तो वैशाली की नगर वधू लिखा गया, प्रिंट जब हुआ है वो आज़ादी के बाद हुआ है, लेकिन उससे पहले वो लिखा जा चुका था। उन्होंने अपनी लंबी भूमिका में कहा है। तो वो जो एक डेमोक्रेसी बन रही थी, उस डेमोक्रेसी का स्वरूप क्या होगा, उसमें नागरिक कैसे होंगे, नागरिकों की अवधारणा कैसे होगी, इस सब चीज़ों को लेकर उन्होंने बहुत लंबी डिबेट की है। तो मेरा यही कहना है कि हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन भले ही इंटरटेनमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से शुरू हुआ हो, वो बहुत आगे जाता है। और जो ये कहा गया है कि अतीत की पुनर्कल्पना, वो सिर्फ अतीत की पुनर्कल्पना नहीं है, वो भविष्य की भी बात करता है। थैंक यू।
बहुत सुंदर। यथार्थ और मनोरंजन दोनों साथ साथ कैसे हों और हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन को लिखने का क्राफ्ट कैसा हो, इस पर हमने आपका वक्तव्य सुना। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और अब मैं बुलाना चाहूँगी श्री अरविंद सिंह आशिया जी को। आप राजस्थान के उदयपुर से संबंध रखते हैं, एक प्रतिष्ठित साहित्यकार हैं, लेखक, संपादक और सांस्कृतिक पुरोधा के रूप में राजस्थानी साहित्य जगत में आपका योगदान अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है। साहित्य के प्रति आपके अनन्य समर्पण हेतु आपको साकेत सम्मान और भारतेंदु हरिश्चंद्र पुरस्कार जैसे गरिमा में अलंकरणों से विभूषित किया गया है। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर।
Honorable Chairman of panel discussion, my fellow writers, ladies and gentlemen. Historical fiction. I introduced myself to this word when last year I was writing a short story in Rajasthani, Be Teen Din, and it was based on Adolf Hitler's last 3 days when he got married with his girlfriend, and then just within 3 days he passed away due to political reasons. What was there is not my matter, but when I was writing that story, I have gone through a lot of things which belongs to Hitler, and Mein Kampf was one of the book which I read out before writing. So here in this annual festival of letters, I would like to thank Sahitya Academy to call me to present my views on this contours of historical fiction of India. I would like to limit myself on Rajasthani only because a lot of things have already spoken up by my fellows. Indian historical fiction reflects culture and heritage of glorious past of the country. We can't ignore it just because of its old temperament. In fact, it's personification of historical incidents which introduce the societies of that time and their emotions to coming generation for their self-realization. I'm sorry, my height and the dais height has a big difference, so it's very difficult to watch out the letters which are here on my iPad. I'll try to continue with my ease. Before the commencement of my words, I would like to clear that in historical fiction writing, history always plays a big role, while fiction part stands there in a small portion to develop these historical events as a powerful story in interest of the common man's literature. As the example has given by my fellow writers about the Acharya Chatursen, Somnath, and I would like to quote here one of the book written by Acharya Chatursen, Vayam Rakshama. And it's very difficult to write the historical fiction if you go through the Vayam Rakshama, because you have to take the reader in that specific era when that incident was happening. Vayam Rakshama is based on the Ravan and that mythological card. And the first line of that novel, which is written by Acharya Chatursen, was Adya Snata Anavrat Bhujamranal Liye Chatushpat Par Nritya Rathi. And it's very difficult. It was Hindi. लेकिन कितना मुश्किल होता है when we are going to write down the historical fiction, because we have to take reader in that era also, so reader can feel that specific time period. So we can't call it pure fiction, but we must honor the history also, which is peeping from the window of its fiction. Only then we can mark the contour of historical fiction. In context of Rajasthan, the past of this stage is very glorious, where history and literature are going together. This combination we can see as follows. The identity of Vellore. In Rajasthani storytelling, the dialects and languages, customs and tradition of Rajasthan are reflect, which gives a vivid picture of Rajasthan's cultural identity. The stories reveal the history, development and all aspects of the language. The bravery and character of Rajasthani's martial communities are best understood through historical fiction, which serve as a platform to recognize them. Ilana Dani Apni Halaria Hulrai type the couplets are example of dignity and decorum of the history of Rajasthan. These fictions says, why did Mughal emperor afraid of Rajasthan Rajput warriors? These historical fictions are not only speaks about the glorious past, but about social structure and then society also. Reading of Khyats give an idea of what life was like back then. These stories are colored with the soil and identity of this land, along with the lifestyle of this region. They also talk about the food habits of that area, what dishes, grains, and what kind of the trades Bharat. These stories bring to life the history and the great personalities who sacrificed themselves and changing the course of time. Gad Uncho Chitod Abusu Bata Kare. Kind sayings are narrating the tales of valor of that era. The stories of sacrifices and Johar an added layer of folk and divine element. You can't deny this because folk and mythological elements are often the roots of any history. Even though civilizations have risen and fallen over time, the written words continue to depict the era of future generation for future generation. Deepe vana des jaro side jigmage, illuminate their land where literature shines. This shine of literature is a unique identity that makes history, stories, and poetry speaks up and give opportunities to be proud of their heritage. Tejaji, Pabuji, Hadbuji, Ramdevji, Karniji, these legendary folk heroes who took birth as humans and illuminated the world with truth and dignity. The literature written about them showcases their character alongside history. Their legacy and spirit are still visible in society. This gives a glimpses of historical fiction. These stories carve out a path showing how deep India's historical narratives literature is. Now we can talk about the social reflection of this kind of literature. Along with these historical stories, Rajasthani writers also raise the contemporary issues like caste, community, and gender. When you talk about the country's region, its flora, fauna, geography, history, society become the subjects of discussion. In India's historical fiction writing tradition, Rajasthani stands out because its uses fiction but not overshadow the history. Instead, it runs parallel to it. Alongside historical events, characters, geography of the time, and the social expansions, all these elements unfold in this historical fiction writing. All the khyats, vachanikas, and other literature that we see, they are not only reflect the history of the time but also explore the society of that era. They write about the different castes and their roles, relationship, expressions, and needs. In Rajasthani, especially in prose Baat, Baat is the oral tradition of Rajasthani literature, has great significance. Continue to evolve over generations. Here I would like to mention that four cultures played a significant role in shaping Rajasthan's and Rajasthani history. Brahmin culture, Jain culture, Rajput culture, and Muslim culture. While Brahmin culture focused on the ethics and teaching, Jain literature emphasized on anecdotes, Rajput literature highlighted the bravery and valor, and Muslim literature explored the romance and love. These oral stories were also performed on stage along with the events of the time. They include the political atmosphere, bravery, and the situation of the common people. Rao Amar Singh is written in 1706 is a prime example. The bath of Maharaja Karan Singh's sons describe the atmosphere during the Aurangzeb's time. It reveals what the four sons of Karan Singh did, giving a glimpse into history. Stories like the Rathod Sihari Baat, Jaisalmer Baat, Narayan Singh Medari Baat, Raja Bhimri Baat, Nanik Chhabdari Baat are the example of blend of history and fiction. In Tamrari Baat, the folk deity Ramdev is revered as an incarnation and the stories are woven around him. The love of that era are also historical figure and their stories have subject of literature. Tales like Marwan, Mahendra Mumal and Binja Sani. These are the Laila Majnu and Shiri Farhad and in Punjabi is the Rajasthani. These love stories are very famous. What the history which intense emotion of love. In Malik Muhammad Jaisi's Padmavat, the main characters are Queen Padmini of Chittor, Sultan Alauddin Khilji, and the King Ratan Singh. A vivid depiction of Rajasthan's history and the struggle between them. This is an example of literature woven around the Rajasthan's history. Though the language isn't Rajasthani, the book is canvas of the Rajasthan history and culture. The folk creations literature centered around the King Bhoj and King Vikramaditya is also found in Rajasthani. These stories depict the king's duty and expressions of the people. Whether the Vikramaditya and Nakshatrajit's tale or King Bhoj and old woman's story, the narratives of King Mandhata and Viramdev Sonigra even describe the realm of Apsaras, transcending historical boundaries and entering in the realm of fiction. The characters and places in these literary creations are connected to history, but sometimes they become the supernatural involving yoginis, Bhairu, Kalka, ghost, and other mystical elements also. In fact, when we use the term historical fiction, there is a thin line between history and literature that the writer navigates, but the fiction become a part of history. Sometimes history and literature coverage, but the question is about the creative liberty. I'll give you an example. Chandravardai's Prithviraj Raso, which is written in 11th century. Chandravardai described the Prithviraj Chauhan's arrow hitting the mark which phrases 4 bas 24 gaj angul asht praman and killing the Sultan. Whereas the history states the Prithviraj Chauhan was taken captive by the Sultan. Here isn't hard to pinpoint where the line between the history is and fiction crossed. Now I think that I have very less time and I have very big prose to introduce. Anyway, in conclusion, I would like to say that the history and literature are two different fields, but historical literary creations are more impactful than mere history. While some consider Valmiki's Ramayana as a historical account, the literary work based on it, like Ramcharitmanas, have reached people's heart. Perhaps this is a magic of historical fiction writing, to weave the historical events into narratives and touch the hearts of common people with their words. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने बात की कि किस तरह से राजपूताना गौरव और लोक साहित्य का समावेश हुआ हिस्टोरिकल फिक्शन में, उस समय का राजनैतिक और सामाजिक परिवेश किस तरह से दर्शाया गया, और साथ ही आपने बात की क्रिएटिव लिबर्टी की। और अब मैं हमारी इस चर्चा के संयोजक श्री विश्वास पाटिल जी से आग्रह करूंगी कि अभी तक जो बातें साझा की गई हैं उसे बांधते हुए वो अपने विचार यहाँ
Please offer him a mic.
It is to our Konkani writer actually. You spoke about the migration of Konkani people from Goan area to different parts of Karnataka and Kerala. I think, did you refer a work of Pai actually, which is called as, Swapna Saraswata. It's a very good novel actually, not it actually imbibes both Kalpana and then history. I think you should have referred that also. I think.
Sir, I referred. Of course, I didn't take his name. I told that there have been translations of 2 Kannada novels into Konkani. That way I briefly mentioned. The one I intended to mention was that of A. Gopalakrishna Pai, Swapna Saraswata.
Yeah.
That has been translated into Konkani.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I have read it. Another one is Dhruvatare of Dr. Mohan Pai, which once again has been translated into Konkani.
Okay.
So I have already referred.
Okay. There is another small question. All of you were talking about the historical novel and whether it should be a true to the history or it should be an embodiment of imagination or historical facts. Almost all of the speakers spoke about that dilemma actually. But history can be conceived as a philosophical concept also. For example, there is a novel called Animal Farm by George Orwell. It is an historical novel in the sense that it depicts the authoritarian rule of a Stalinist era of Russia actually, and it does not mention Stalin as such, but it is an historical novel in a metaphorical sense wherein it deals with the subject of all authoritarian rulers of every historical time actually. So in that way, that type of historical novels become one of the best novels of history writing as such. And those writings which deal with, taking the dilemma of whether we should be true to the history or should be imaginative, this dilemma of writing becomes, makes the novel an ordinary novel as such. It doesn't become a great novel as such. It is my view. Can anybody, explain on this issue?
We got your viewpoint. Is there a specific question to it? You expressed your thoughts.
This is an observation.
So that's an observation.
An
Thank you so
observation.
much. Yeah, so is there any other question that we may have from the audience? किसी का अगर कोई प्रश्न हो तो पूछ सकते हैं.
But actually, his whole statement has a very good question. We haven't discussed on that. He raised the issue whether there is a watertight compartment for history or not, right? Whether that's what you said, right? Whether particular history which has not been written in different way, the way we know history, but metaphorically, right? Say Animal Farm you're talking about, right? But generally the metaphors are not recognized as history, right? That's why probably I think there is a cutoff point on that,
Okay.
that you cannot have metaphorical stuff as historical writing. That's what my own belief, it's fiction is after all everybody's argument and definitions, right? So that's what, the way you like the fiction to be seen. Thank you.
We have to stick to the facts. We cannot deviate from historical facts. Like we cannot show Akbar as, Babar's father. So these are the simplest thing we have to follow while writing history.
कोई और प्रश्न किसी का है हमारे सभागार में तो आपके पास अभी उचित समय है उसे पूछने का. अब मैं हमारे संयोजक जी से आग्रह करूंगी कि वो अपनी बात रखें आज की इस पूरी चर्चा के ऊपर.
Friends, here was very nice discussion about अतीत की पुनर्कल्पना, भारत के ऐतिहासिक कथा साहित्य का स्वरूप. All dignitaries present here and our Kumud Sharma ji, the Vice President of Sahitya Academy, and my friends, we should not forget that though the Shakespeare was the greatest writer of the world, we should admit that 70% of his plots and characters were drawn from the history, Greek and other mythology. And there was a great writer, namely Plutarch. He has accepted, he has delivered, or he has reused the plots and characters like Othello and others. So I think historical novel is basically the culmination of reality and imagination. And we should not forget that in 200 years back, Sir Walter Scott was the first great novelist, historical novelist. He's unparalleled even today. If we go through his novels like Ivanhoe and others, we will accept it. लेकिन मेरी बात ये है कि इंडिया में, हिंदुस्तान में, भारत में कैरेक्टर्स बहुत पावरफुल है. जितने कैरेक्टर्स पावरफुल है उतना राइटर और पोएट का पेन पावरफुल नहीं है. टेक ए एग्जाम्पल ऑफ मिस्टर आसाराम बापू, हाउ पावरफुल ही वॉज. लेकिन सही आसाराम बापू किसी ने अपने पोएट में पकड़ा है क्या? किसी ने उसको अपने मुट्ठी में लिया है क्या? हिस्ट्री में, ड्रामा में या नॉवल में? Then we have gone through many good characters in modern history also. The fiery woman like Indira Gandhi, then Jayaprakash Narayan. There is no portrayal of these characters in our historical novels or current novels also. So I think the strength of the writer is less than the Indian history. And we are going through going around only some subjects like Aurangzeb, like Rani Durgavati, etc. But at the same time, about historical novel, we should not forget some plays also. The play like Neel Darpan in Bangla, which was based on the movement of Indigo movement, and that was the great. I will give you another example. One of the greatest great Assamese novel of 20th century, I will consider Ivaru Ingam, written by Virendra Kumar Bhattacharya. Virendra Kumar Bhattacharya was incidentally the president of Sahitya Academy also, and his Ivaru Ingam is, he portrays the period of the partition of India or independence of India and withdrawal of Japanese army, which was deployed in Imphal and Kohima area, and how they were mixed up and what was the creation in a new period. This is entirely very powerful subject, and one should go through this Ivaru Ingam. And here before I took name of Sunil Gangopadhyay also. Though Sunil Gangopadhyay, he has not gone after some famous historical characters, etc. But he has portrayed the period of Renaissance in Bangla in his two great novels like New Light and other novel. So I think this is a culmination, historical novel is a culmination of reality and imagination. I feel there is a vast difference in making of history and writing about it. A soldier fights battle while facing 200 guns and armaments on the battlefield. But a Gyani, a scholar, writes history in air-conditioned room, but he reflects something great. We are aware about the history of Karna and Mahabharata. I traveled all through India, but for understanding Karna better way, everywhere I heard name of Shivaji Savant and Mrutyunjay. I think he has his pen given the upliftment or some new different color that is, I think, the great work. We have one famous novel in Marathi. Now people are also forgetting in Marathi also, Hari Narayan Apte, Mysurcha Wagh. That is the tiger of Mysore. It is about Tipu Sultan. So many characters, and in Razia Sultan, there was a great Hindi novel about Razia Sultan. No novel, we can say that virtuous or E.M. Foster has given, say, 6, 7 aspects, powerful aspects about any novel. It may be historical or non-historical. But some ingredients are common. You will not notice all gradient in one novel. But when I read Vaishali Ki Nagarvadhu, I can't forget that powerful statement and oratory of Vaishali in the court of that Raja, of that king. So I think we should collect many things, and the writing of historical novel is not easy job. It is like an acrobat boy or girl. We must walk on tight ropes stretched across a bustling marketplace using pole of balance. The girl is balancing, at the same time she should get clads, and there is a great question of his stomach also. They must keep the audience entertained and earn their applause. At the same time, maintain the grip for its question of livelihood and survival. मेरा जो experience है about writing of a novel on Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahanayak, which is already appeared in more than 15 Indian languages and very popular. You might have gone through many, in many languages, you will notice it. I think how the job of historical writer is troublesome or challenging. We are aware about the friendship between Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Jawahar was just 6 years older than Subhash, and Subhash was considering him as a great brother. At the same time, both they were looking towards Gandhiji as their father, as our fatherly figure, the father of nation. And there was an incident in their life that in 1940, in Calcutta Congress, Mahatma Gandhi banished Subhash Chandra Bose from Congress. Subhash Chandra, there before, was a president of All India Congress for 2 years, continuous 2 years. And Jawaharlal was urging on the platform that Bapu, we should not give such a kind of a harsh penalty to Subhash. But Gandhiji's heart was like a rock, and he banished him. What was the fact? During those days, whenever Jawahar will visit Calcutta, he used to stay in the house of Subhash only. Though that day Subhash was banished from the Congress, as usual, Jawahar was staying in the house of Subhash. And as usual, on the very next day, Subhash was going to see off Pandit Nehru at Howrah station. And he was supposed to drive the car. And at the same time, little niece of Subhash, Gita, she ran there with a flower, एक लंबा डंडा वाला गुलाब लेकर वो उधर भागी, because she was aware कि चाचा जी को गुलाब कितने प्रिय है. And when Subhash was tucking that rose in buttonhole of जवाहर जी, तो जवाहर जी के ध्यान में आ गया और उन्होंने देखा कि कांटा चुभ गया था सुभाष के उंगली में, और वो बोले, रुको सुभाष, उंगली से खून की बूंद टपक रही है. देन सुभाष जी विड्रॉ, एक 4 कदम पीछे आए और हंस के बोले, छोड़ दीजिए जवाहर जी, भगवान ने फूल बनाए हैं आपके लिए और कांटे रखे हैं मेरे वास्ते. So the flowers are made for you, and these thrones are kept for me by Almighty God. I think the conflict, inner conflict and gap between these characters, I could manage in only 2 or 3 paragraphs instead of writing 50 pages. So I think this is a great challenge, writing historical novel. And again, I will stress that though there are many good novels about Mahabharata, Ramayana, even about medieval period, even about Shivaji, then Aurangzeb, but for modern period, I think there is a lack of good novels. And after independence, again I will stress that there was a great movement under the flag of Jayaprakash Narayan, but there is not a good single novel. Even the question of Kashmir, ups and downs, many issues are there. So I think this is a challenge that our history, and it is a principle said in literary genre or word, whole word, that whenever there will be conflict or great upheaval, that is the great opportunity for a novelist and for a playwright. But I think though there are many ups and downs, the conflicts like Bangladesh, then wars with Pakistan, I think we are lagging behind. And from today's session, we should take lesson that our pen should be more powerful than historical conflicts.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और एक बहुत ही दिलचस्प चर्चा रही। मैं शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगी श्री विश्वास पाटिल जी का इतने सुंदर इसका संयोजन करने के लिए, कुलधर सैकिया जी, वीणा विश्वास जी, गोकुलदास प्रभु जी, बलवंत कौर जी, अरविंद सिंह आशिया जी, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इतना समृद्ध इस चर्चा को बनाने के लिए। अभी आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि हम एक समूह फोटोग्राफ के लिए आगे आएँ और इस याद को अपने साथ सहेज कर ले जाएँ। कुमुद जी आप भी आइएगा तो फोटो और सुंदर हो जाएगा। इसी के साथ साहित्य उत्सव के दूसरे दिन का ये पहला सत्र यहाँ समाप्त होता है। अगले सत्र में 12 बजे आप सभी से दोबारा भेंट होगी, जहाँ पर हमारा होगा बहुभाषी कहानी पाठ। धन्यवाद।